Hi, everyone. Susan Gerbic here. So I had promised you I was going to do another reading. I was going to show another reading with Dave the Medium. This is coming from our friend Sebastian, who is a, a commenter in the comments of our YouTube channel, and that's how I've met him. And he has gone above and beyond to find information for a hot reader he stumbled across. And Sebastian does not live in Australia or New Zealand or anywhere near that part of the world, but for some reason or other, he hit on Dave the Medium. Now, these people are all over the place, but hot reading is not as common as you would think. Most people think, oh, well, they'll say, oh, I had this reading and there's things the psychic told me there's no way they could have known. And I'm not even on social media. And so I know I didn't post this information on social media or something like that. And it's like, but most psychics don't read, don't hot read. Most psychics are cold reading, and you just don't know the signs, how to tell they're cold reading. You're caught up in the emotion of it. You're also a motivated sitter who badly wants to have the reading, as well as you probably don't have a copy of the reading. You're just relying on your memory. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a breakdown of a reading that was done at the Gold Coast on it's 3 weeks ago from now that it was put on Dave the Medium's YouTube channel. And I'll give you a link to this in the description so you can watch this fully. I just watched it fully. It's heartbreaking, as are most that are hot reading, because they've got a lot of intimate details. They pre-select who they're going to have, they choose that they're going to do the reading for, and it is heartbreaking to get into the depth and really find their grief. And that's what they do. These hot readers find your grief and they repeat it back to you in little bits. And some are good storytellers like this guy. Others are horrible storytellers like um, Dean, medium psychic Dean. I've got a bunch of videos of him. Just horrible hot reader. Not that I'm here to give tips to hot readers on how best to look like you're faking, but this guy, okay, Dave the Medium, if you don't know, he's in Australia. I think he's in Melbourne. He's got 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. I looked at his TikTok. He's got tons and tons of views. I mean, I don't even remember right now, but it was astronomical. But that's how TikTok kind of is that you have a whole generation of people on TikTok who are not knowledgeable about the work that has been done for decades, even going back to Harry Houdini debunking psychics and mediums. They have no clue. They have no idea who James Randi is. They just accept everything just because it's in front of them. It's been placed in front of them, like, they grew up watching YouTube and social media and the internet, and it just told you what to think because and it's you're force fed it. You get hooked into the algorithm, then they give you the next thing, and they give you the next thing, and you don't see challenging videos or anything like what you're watching right now. This just doesn't come up. Or they get some weird thing like saying, um, oh, some psychics are fake, but not all, or they say, well, this, but not that. They just don't have a really great understanding. The average person on TikTok just doesn't seem to have that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I have a lot of really good friends that are on TikTok that are trying to do really, really good work, like Kenny Biddle and Richard Saunders and Dustin Dean and my friend Fleur. Lots of people are out there trying to do a really good job and more. I shouldn't mention one because then I know I'm going to forget the others, but they're out there doing really great work. Dr. Carl has his own TikTok challenge that's really wonderful. Dr. Carl is an amazing science communicator, but they're not following these people. They're following people like this Dave the Medium, and they feel, I don't know, maybe they get an entertainment value of it, and they're completely missing the harm that's happening. And it's excruciating what the damage that does to people whenever these people come on and they're pretending they're talking to your dead loved one. All those is as wonderful as it feels to live in fantasy land for a for a few weeks or maybe the rest of your life thinking that you've been in contact and that he's fine and that he's living over there. There's damage. It's not right. One of my friends reminded me of that it interrupts your grief when you have somebody who's in here preying on you like this. Another person in the comments said, oh no, I'm a grief counselor or in the therapy field, and grief never really goes away. This thing about cycles you talk about, Susan, isn't real. And I'm no expert. I mean, I've had my share of grief too, but I'm not saying the grief goes away. I'm saying grief changes, and some people need to see a licensed grief counselor, somebody who is actually experiencing grief in a way that they cannot move on, they cannot get out of bed, they cannot go along with their lives. Their thoughts are obsessive, they're stressed. I mean, we all experience that with some kind of grief, but not to a point where it's fundamentally affecting your life for long periods of time. Those kind of people probably need to seek somebody out who has a license, not a grief medium, but somebody who really knows what they're doing and can give you best practices, how to move past this, I don't want to say past it, because of course the grief is there with you, but how you can get to coping mechanisms. Maybe you'll need medication. I don't know. I'm just saying, don't listen to me and don't listen to these grief counselors. I'm saying that these people aren't helping. And I'll point out to you where he's definitely not helping. Now, I'm going to show you a very small clip that's on TikTok because it's completely edited down with the best hits. And then I'm going to talk about the screenshots that Sebastian found and why he found them. I decided I don't want to show the clips to you. They are on her Instagram. I think it's Instagram page. Anybody could look at it if you want to take the time to go look at these posts. I'm going to read them to you and describe them to you, because it just feels too it just feels icky to me to show it to you. But I mean, I could, because they're public and she's put herself out there. Okay, so this is a woman who's getting a reading from the Gold Coast, which is a section of Australia right there by Brisbane. Beautiful place. I've been there, spent a few days there. Hot as heck when I was there. Oh my gosh. Couldn't even go to the beach because it was so hot to walk on anything. And Dave the Medium, this video has only been out 3 weeks and it's got 7,000 views, 200 likes, 21 comments. Always makes me a little wary. I mean, I get videos that have 21 comments on them and they have, 100 views. So if you've got 7,000 views, but you only have 21 comments, I don't know, that just makes me feel a little wary. It makes me think that maybe somebody's removing comments. That's what I think. Or those views aren't necessarily legitimate views. That's just me, okay? I know I'm fighting for all of my views and all my comments, all my subscribers, and I follow those numbers all the time, and it just feels strange to be so low, but his TikToks are massive, like I said. Okay. So I'm going to show you this video, and I apologize in advance because I have not been able to figure out how to make the video go to the beginning. Let me see if I can, maybe if I refresh it. Okay, what you're going to be missing in this, let's see if I can stop it. Okay, what you're going to be missing is that he's going to go to this woman directly, as if I think in the video, the TikTok video, she's already got the microphone in her hand. When you see something like that on an edited video from the Medium, especially, which is the Dave the Medium channel, he's edited it, and he's clear about editing. He said it in his video comments that he's editing this, and I totally get it. You're trying to appear on Instagram or TikTok. This video is on Instagram, by the way. And when they're already with the microphone in their hand, that means there was a before, an opening remark. Okay, now if it's an opening remark that is so specific and it's directed at one human being, like they're looking right at the person and they say, you have a man in spirit, his name is Rory, who died of cancer very, very recently, and you have a dog named George. Okay, that's amazing. That's what I'm looking for. They don't do that unless they're hot reading and they know it's you, like, or a stooge, something like that. That doesn't happen very rarely. It feels very fake, right? But what happens is hot readers will do one of two things. They'll either go to somebody kind of specifically and say, I think I want to read for you because I feel like something's coming through. Somebody hand her the microphone, and then he eases into it with, I'm getting a young man. I think he died recently. Waiting for a response. I feel like it was cancer. Waiting for a response. I feel like it was in this area. Wait for a response. That's one tactic that hot readers use. The other is they'll say on stage or wherever they are, I am getting a person whose name is such and such, or they died this way and they're in this section. And then somebody says, that's me. And then they bring over the microphone. So you're going to see she has a microphone right away. What you're missing, I wrote it down. He's getting a younger gentleman, he's underage, which he says under 40. And the person, this younger gentleman, is saying, my son, George, my baby girl, it's my youngest, my girl's in the room. Okay. So I think that's cut out of this. So then let's go. It's a shortish thing. Let's talk about it as we go. Hopefully I've got it at the beginning. I apologize if it's loops and I have to show it again. But then again, you catch a little bit more. Instagram.
About getting married. I want to get married to her because she's
I wish I could.
been getting a lot of signs, but she's been second guessing it, or like the element of wondering where I'm at. And he says, I'm so thankful though for how she was able to hold me. He's like, I need a tan.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit pale.
He was pale, yep.
No, Rory Connect. Is that him?
Yeah.
Oh,
Rory.
I'll get you to cut this out, Chris, but Rory was the first guy I ever dated. Not your one. He says, that's why I want her to just laugh, Dave. He says, I need her to know that I'm always with her. And, even as I said, I brought her here today. I need her to know that she's my girl. He says, but she sees me outside. She sees me in public.
I got like a fright because I thought something was standing next to me, and I thought I saw something, and I would look up and there'd be nothing there. Told him that I'd be here before he passed, and I was like, I'm booking David the medium, and then I told him the place, the time.
And he's literally the first here.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm going to be fighting in front of all of them to get through. So that's yeah.
And he says, we were talking about getting married. I want to get married to her because she's been getting a lot of signs, but she's been second guessing it, or like the element of wondering where I'm at. And he says, I'm so thankful though for how she was able to hold me. He's like, I need a tan.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit pale.
Okay, that's a complete loop. Okay, so what we're missing is this woman is I don't know if she was the fiance, but she was the girlfriend of this young man under 40. His name is Rory. They had a dog named George. David knew that the dog was a poodle. And he says to her, my one and only, I wanted to marry her. It was cancer. It was quick. It was in the stomach area. And then a very little after that, he says the bowel area. She says, yes. And that George is her dog. He's a poodle. I put puddle. She has been getting signs, but she has been waiting for something stronger. And he asked, is there a Layla or Lola? And she doesn't connect to that. And then he goes, like, somebody over there. Oh, we'll come over to that. That's something else. That's somebody else. Which makes me wonder if maybe he forgot his notes and he got confused and had a Lola in there. He said it was really recently. She says, yes, he died 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks. That grief is raw. Okay, he was very skinny and pale. And then he goes on and on with a lot of platitudes, which of course we know all psychics use. Then he gets the name Rory. and here, this is a direct quote. Animals are very switched on spiritually. Okay. He says George is going to be looking around the room tonight. He's going to be very agitated. And he tells her, she won't tell him what the sign is, that she said she had a specific sign with Rory before he died that she was looking for, and she hasn't found it yet. So here's this a-hole on stage trying to figure out what the sign is, trying to get it from Rory, and goes through a whole series of things. He says, pay attention to numbers, not knowing if maybe he says, I don't know if it's a number looking at her, and she just didn't react, I guess. Remember, we can only see her or him, but he can see her the whole time. Get it? So if there is some cold reading going on in these hot readings, so if he's looking at her and he's saying something about numbers, and he's staring at her, and if she goes, oh, or looks shocked, that he knows to go on with numbers. If she looks a little confused or no, then he moves to something else. Okay. Remember, we're seeing only one person at a time. Okay. And then he says 444, and then he says rainbows. And then she doesn't react to rainbows. And he says, yeah, rainbows are kind of generic. That's kind of in other words, no, not rainbows. And then he says, and this pisses me off because he says it in like this. He says, Rory's not connecting with that. Like he's got this personal relationship to this dead man that died 4 weeks ago. And no, you're putting words in this guy's mouth that are not there. And then he says that Rory says, she sees me in public and she sees me outside. So he's still trying to get to her whatever the sign is, because if he can get her sign, oh my gosh, Dave, this is the first reading of the event. He's got it. Everything is going to be just easy as peasy can be if he gets her sign. So he keeps trying different kinds of things. It's just really cruel. And because she's not really, well, she's in 4 weeks out of the death, my gosh, and not experienced herself. She doesn't really know about this world of mediumship. She's the book the reading with Dave the medium before her partner died. So, and told her partner the day, the time, and the place where the reading would be, so he would show up. And she says Rory told her before he died that he'd be the first one in line. And so she's very much into this, right? Okay, so again, he's trying to get get it out of her. So he's trying something outside. He says, she sees me outside in public. And that, I think he's talking about, I think, a grocery store. I don't know. I've been to Australia a few times, but wasn't a store I was familiar with. I don't know if it's like a grocery store or like a little convenience store you find, or like a coffee shop. I don't know what that is. Wagers, something like that. Anyway. And then she goes, wow, because sometimes I'm outside and I see people near me that aren't there, or that are there and then they're not there. And then she tries to correct that by saying, I feel like I see him. I'll see a guy on the beach and I go, oh my gosh, that looks like Rory. And it's not. Totally common. We're human beings. People look like other human beings sometimes. And then again, you're in grief. So this guy is, she's seeing things like a normal person would see, even if you're years after this process, or this years later, she could still have this kind of feeling. Oh, then he asks about shells and the beach. They're in the Gold Coast, which is right on the water in the ocean. Okay. And that was about it. The other things I wanted to mention was that he asked the audience, because this is the beginning, he asked the audience if they had seen him before. And then I saw a hand or something go up in the frame that we could see. And he said, okay, how many people are seeing me for the very first time? And nearly every hand went up, which is really interesting. So, and they were really engaged with his humor, because he's quite humor. He's self-deprecating. And he makes comments about the British people having crooked teeth, and then he jokes about it, saying, I hope there's no Brits in the audience. And then he goes on and he talks about at least in the last reading, he was talking about people smoking weed in a certain area, and he does a lot of jokes and keeps it light. I find that, whatever. That's a style, I think. I don't like it, but whatever. Okay, so let's go on to the facts. How do we know that he's hot reading and not just a really accurate psychic medium, as he says? How do you know the difference? And that's a wonderful question. I should probably do a lecture on that myself someday. So let's think this through. And people who will watch a channel and watch a few videos, they'll say, I'm not sure, is this hot reading or cold reading? You know, they have a hard time with it. And there have been a few times where I have watched people like Tyler Henry, and I say to myself, that could be cold reading or that could be hot reading. It's either way would have worked. He's, very skilled at it. He's been doing it for a long time, despite that he's probably like 27 now. I've been following him since he was 19, back in 2016. Tyler Henry, I'm talking about. Okay. So if somebody comes out with very specific information right off the bat, then I'm going to assume it's cold reading or a plant, a stooge, in other words, which is very unlikely. Because if you have a stooge in the audience, it's so much easier to get caught. And you're putting your trust in someone else. And that could backfire. You might think that you have a really strong relationship with that person, or you paid them and they have an NDA or whatever, but the chance that they could leak that information or be seen at another event with a different loved one or the same loved one or whatever, is really risky. So most psychics are not going to use a stooge. Okay. So I would think that they're got information somehow, either by somebody telling them, oh, my sister's going to be there and she really wants a reading about her husband, or her fiance, Rory. You got to help her out. She's in really bad shape. Oh, okay. Tell me some more details. Okay. So that's possible. Or he got really lucky, which is not likely to happen. Not that specific. And is there a pattern? So that's the other thing. Is this a pattern where he gets hit after hit in detail like this, in a pattern? And then that's kind of like a red flag for hot reading. Also hot reading, and we did this for years. Mark and I did this for a long time, and he had a long history of doing something called pre-show. And I've talked about it in a lot of videos. So hopefully this isn't too much of a repeat for you. But when a mentalist, that's a form of magic. It's a side of magic that's like they pretend to be psychic. So when a mentalist does pre-show, there's so many methods of how you can get information out of somebody and then just relay it as if you just met them or you just heard it. You can hear it, overhear it, not the psychic, but it could be anybody else, one of their entourage. They could be in the same elevator with somebody who's having a personal conversation, and then they go over and tell the psychic what they overheard and said she's sitting right there in the audience right there. It could be you're sitting in a restaurant before the show and you overhear the conversation there. It could be they're in the bathroom chatting with somebody else about who it is they really, really want to see and the name of the person. I've done things where I've sat down with people and had conversations with them, and I'm really good at getting out those little pieces of trivia that mean nothing to them, but they can be translated if you have a good hot reader who's a mentalist to relay them. I've looked over people's phones as they're in front of me in line, like we're standing in line and they're texting somebody and they have their phone at a height where I can see it. And I'm just standing there and I can see the screen. What is their main screen? I can see that. And I, like a cat, a person, whatever. And then I can see what they're texting or what they're scrolling. And I'm just standing there, just kind of like looking around, nothing else to do. I'm just waiting in line behind him, and this bright light is right in front of my face. And then I can say to Mark, I would say, okay, so this guy who's sitting over there, the picture on his screen on his phone is, two little girls, or it's a cat that has like one dark patch on its eye. And then the rest of it is white, or something, anything. It's just little pieces of trivia. That's pre-show. Okay, so those are all the ways of knowing. But when a person has a pattern like Dave the Medium, now this will be the third video I'm doing Dave the Medium, enough that we have a playlist for him now. And Sebastian's really seems to be enjoying this, so it might not be the last video we do of Dave the Medium. The Australian skeptics are starting to feed, one of my friends is starting to feed me more information about Dave the Medium that he has collected. I don't know how long he's been around. Okay, so that's how you know they're hot reading. Cold reading has a whole different feel to it, and you can see a zillion cold reading videos on my channel if you really want to get into that, so you can feel the difference. All right, sorry, I'm going to show you, if you didn't already see it, where Sebastian got this information from. And not where he got how he knew. This right here. So on Dave the Medium's post, he made a clip just of this woman here. I believe her name is Olivia. Okay. And the comment that she made, "Thank you, Dave. This is so special and something I'll remember forever." And then Dave says, "Thank you so much for coming and allowing me to read for you. Rory is just so special. I will always be watching over you and pushing towards first whenever he can, whenever the can, haha." And then other people who are saying, "Oh, that's amazing." So if you click on her Instagram right here, and I guess I assume he's pinned it. I don't know if you can do that on Instagram because it's the first part after he has made his comment. So if you click on that, you're going to find all this information that I'm going to tell you. You can go look for it yourself if you want. I have, Sebastian has made sure I have all these screenshots, and I've double checked them because I want to make sure I have it in case the video gets taken down. I have copies of everything. So if I have to, for some legal reason, produce this, I can. Okay. So one of the posts is of her and Rory, and they're just a close-up picture of the two of them. And it says here, this was put out September 11th. And today is September 14th, 2025. She writes, on the 10th of September at 3:39 p.m., which is interesting because I would have thought Dave the Medium would have picked up on the 339 as a sign. Okay. My world shattered into a million pieces. No one expects to lose their person this young, but it was Rory's time to go home. I know he will be watching over me and shining his strength to me to be okay soon. I will make sure to live on in his honor. He was the best human I've ever met, and I'm honored to have met him. I know you're watching, Rory. I love you so much. This is definitely the hardest card to be dealt with. I know you didn't like complaining, but don't worry. I'll do it for you. I'll see you again one day soon. And a bunch of hearts. I assume this means it was September 11th. Okay. Here's another post. She says, 2 weeks on the road, spending quality time together, enjoying the small things. With Rory's terminal diagnosis and us both deeply saddened to the fact that we will not have much time longer to spend together, we decided to go on a 2-week road trip to just get away, as life has felt like a big dream lately. When maybe our last holiday together, we wanted to keep it super simple and appreciate the small things in life. Even though our motorhome's roof leaked water all over our freshly washed bamboo sheets and mattress, one of the seats falling apart, torrential raining most of the trip, riding in the rain in a huge motorhome on the edge of cliffs and not being able to see out the window while driving, us both breaking down multiple times, wishing we were just at home in our cozy warm bed, switching to a car halfway through so we could have a smoother journey home. It was still all worth it. And another one. I'm just clicking on her Instagram to see if I can see these dates. Okay. I'm gonna go a little further back so I can see. Yep. September 28th. Currently at the Airbnb to stay at the coast, and it doesn't feel the same without you in our endless adventures. And it has a nice photo of the two of them. He looks like such a sweet guy. And hers with the dog looking on her, October 1st, and so on. Here's another one with the dog. Happy second birthday to our best friend. And somebody writes, happy birthday, George. Another one writes, happy birthday, George. And then another one says, birthday, beautiful photos of George and Rory. This is October 10th. So the reading that is posted on Dave the Medium's page is from October 21st. So if she's posting things in September, yeah, he died September 10th. So she posted on September 11th, and the reading is in October, second week of October, I think. So these are all fresh on her Instagram page. Okay. She has an Instagram post that says, misdiagnosed multiple times by professionals, laughed at and told to calm down, told you're too young to have cancer by hospital nurses and specialists. Another picture of this lovely man sitting on the couch with this poodle, dark brown poodle. A happy birthday to our best friend. Another word where the dog is laying in the bed with Rory. And that was one of the things that Dave told her. He says, does the dog, when you get home, the dog's going to be really agitated because the dog is missing Rory so much. And does the dog sleep in bed with you? Let him in bed with you. And she goes, oh, he sleeps right next to me. Very sad. Here is Rory walking on the beach. He's much thinner than he was. Much, much thinner. And then a picture of him barbecuing, even more thin. And it says, and filling up the other moments with good times and memories, all the small things and that kind of stuff. So anyway, there's lots of posts that are on Olivia's Instagram page that are quite personal and giving all the details that David just gave to her as if he was getting them from Rory. It's quite cruel. The other thing to remember, and I say this a lot, and I don't know if people really understand this, but if you are told, okay, Dave the Medium, she believes, is a real psychic, somebody who's absolutely in contact with dead people. So she's going to put him up on a pedestal. He's got more authority than the average human being does. I mean, here he is on stage. People are laughing at him. There's hundreds, if not many hundreds of people in the audience. We don't really know, but he performed at the Sydney Opera House, and it seems like the guy is helping other dead people come through, and he seems like a really genuine, nice guy until you really know what's going on, right? And so when somebody tells you something like that and imprints these new memories into your brain that you might not have felt before, they're going to stick with you. Okay. So one of the things that's there is that Rory told her that she is my one and only, and my girl is there in the audience, and that I wanted to marry her. And on and on with the praise about how much she cared for him and how amazing she was and what a wonderful person she is, right? So right now it's 4 weeks out. And she's not thinking, I hope, of any kind of new relationships. So at the moment, good. she's going to take her time, hopefully. But when you have hanging over you that this man that you loved immensely, that you had a short amount of time on earth with, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know, is watching over you, and that he sees you as his one and only, and you're his girl, and on, it's going to make it very difficult for you when you do finally feel ready to start dating again and start maybe getting into a new relationship. It's going to be very tough. And the person that you're dating is probably going to feel like a second fiddle. You know what I mean? I will never be able to compete with this guy who she was with, who died, Rory. He will always be her number one. Even if we are married 40 years and have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren together, she's always going to see that Rory was the one that the guy. It's like the movie Titanic. Oh my gosh, that made me so mad. Here she is. She has a fling with this guy when she's young on the Titanic with Jack, just some guy. And they do it in a car, and life is amazing, whatever, for a day or so, and then the boat sinks. So then she's the one that gets on the door. No room for Jack on the door. And she's off, and she marries this guy, has an amazing life with him. I don't know what happens, but it was like they were talking about, like, she had this life of travel and became a pilot, and the guy that she was married to, her and him, had many adventures, and their life is amazing with lots of children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And all this time she has this necklace that does not belong to her, by the way, this priceless necklace. And she goes out at her death and she drops it into the ocean. It wasn't hers in the first place. And then when she dies, here she is walking up the staircase with her loving husband of zillions of years, with no, it's with Jack. She's back to being a young woman again. It's like, wait a minute here. Come on now. Don't feel fair. She's with Jack. Well, okay, I don't believe in ghosts and all that kind of stuff. So maybe there's an eternity with Jack, and then there's an eternity with her real husband who she was with forever, and has zillions of years of experience. And instead of this guy she had a one-night stand with, like he's some kind of soulmate. Come on, girl, you know better. So that's what I'm saying, is that I know it's a story, but the idea that this Olivia person is going to always have this guy, Rory, of course she would have him with her. I mean, it would always be there, but this idea of the perfect man, the perfect relationship. He came through 4 weeks after he died, and was first in line to be there. And she's sitting I think in the front row too. So she probably bought a VIP pass. Just saying how easy that is to research and find that information on somebody who's got a VIP pass. So anyway, I don't think this is the last we're going to see of Dave the medium. We've had a few comments, negative in some cases, about Dave the medium posts I put up. And they're saying the same old thing, like, get a life, and we'll, leave this woman to make her own decisions. And somebody blamed me for outing the woman in the past video. Like, I'm the one that's doing that. And she's an adult, and she's the one that's getting played if she's getting played. And I responded. I said, she is an adult. I'm not talking about Olivia. I'm talking about the video I did last time, which is about Sydney and Jody. Their dad, or Sydney's dad, Jody's husband, came through. So I said, she is an adult, and this is how I feel. And she chose to keep her social media open. And she responded to the Hot Reading Mediums video, which is what Olivia did. And she's making the choice to believe that this is real. And she has made the adult decision to link herself to the reading, and that is on her. I do believe this should not be illegal. I do believe that people should be able to take their money and spend it however they feel like. I do believe that some people get benefits out of this. I do believe that not everybody goes down the slippery slope and ruins, and it becomes a problem for them. Some people can leave this and that's fine. I do not believe that these people should be locked up or anything of the sort. I do believe that the media, enablers, and celebrities should stop endorsing these people and normalizing it as if it is real. Because we just have enough pseudoscience in this world and enough misinformation. And I'll be doing a video on that too, really shortly. So thank you so much, Sebastian, for introducing us to this very interesting, obvious, hot reading psychic medium. I had not heard of him before, and I'm dying to see what ends up happening with him if we can get some people to start attending, to see if we could figure out what was possibly what the methods he's using. I mean, and more hot reading examples. We can do that. All right, everyone, take care. Please leave your comments down below. I really want to know what you think of this, okay? Take care, everyone. Bye now.